For the first time since 1969, the Orioles throw a no-hitter. Who wasn't there to watch it? This guy. This is Cory, and this is the O The Anthem podcast.
I mean, basically, it was like that game last year. There was only like 5 people there to see it, so don't feel too bad.
It's like a 1 o'clock game in Seattle. Like,
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 370 of the O The Anthem podcast, coming to you from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
yes, thank you for catching us on your podcatcher of choice. The easiest way, anchor.fm/O The Anthem. You go to that site, you click on the podcatcher you listen to us on, boom. Spaghetti.
Speaking of boom, news this week, the United States government has declared war on Cory.
Yeah, specifically me.
Well, you and, millions of other Americans, but also you. Very important.
Clearly just me. So there was a lawsuit that brought its way to the FDA a couple years ago in regards to banning menthol cigarettes. The rationale behind it at the time was that young people use menthol to get hooked on cigarettes and therefore move on to other things. This was in line with them saying that the flavored e-cig, the vaporizers and stuff like that, are also a way to get kids in, which I can understand. Like a strawberry vape is so much more appealing than a cigarette for a teenager.
I don't understand. I understand what you mean.
So the FDA has decided they're going to push forward and just ban menthol cigarettes. And I know a lot of people are listening to me saying, why the fuck should I care? I don't smoke menthol cigarettes. Well, the reason why you should care is because it's kind of unbelievable that that they found the perfect little issue that they can wedge themselves in and try and take away, liberty basically of the people who choose to do it,
Now, why is this the perfect issue, Cory?
Well, specifically in the paperwork that they included with the lawsuit was talking about how the overwhelming majority of people who smoke menthol cigarettes are African American people, and that if we just ban it, then we're going to keep a lot of black people from picking up smoking, which is not how this works. And let me tell you, as somebody who has been smoking for a long time, menthol cigarettes on top of that, trying to just take it away from an addict is not the way to do it. I don't know if how much personal experience people who are listening to me have with people who have addiction, but the waiting for them to leave the house and then flushing all their crack down the toilet is not the way to get them to go like, you know what I should do? Quit.
That's a stabbing. That's how that works out. That's a stabbing. Now, I would like for you to make the plea to the people at home. Not the plea, the argument that you made to me, to the people at home. And I just want to gauge everyone's reaction to how you said you would deal with them taking away the cigarettes. Let me give you foundation. So what we were discussing is Cory is at war, as all smokers are, with the logical side of your brain saying, I've smoked for too long. I really should quit. This is good for my health. It's good for my family. It's good for everybody. And then the addict part of your brain being like, I mean, is it though? I mean, let's have a cigarette and think about this. And,
you know what would really calm you down is a cigarette. So basically,
I just want anybody else to argue with you about why this is crazy. But go ahead.
No, and I get it because cigarettes are kind of a weird addiction that you can rationalize how your brain is playing tricks on you. Like people who, from my experience, people who have like alcoholism or something like that, like very rarely think that there's a problem.
Oh, I don't have a problem.
Listen,
I have a couple of glasses of wine with the girls 4 or 5 times a week. Sometimes
I could literally never drink again and it wouldn't even impact me.
Yes. I believe I heard somebody say that about marijuana. Like I could stop it right now and it wouldn't be a problem at all. But anyway, go ahead.
But the addict part of your brain says, as soon as somebody starts coming for the thing that that you are all about, like, again, I've smoked menthol cigarettes since I've started smoking cigarettes. The first cigarette I smoked was a red. I said, oh my God, this is awful. Why does anyone do this? And then the second cigarette I smoked was a menthol, and I was just like, there we go. That's the one.
That's it.
the addict part of your brain. I've been saying to myself for the better part of a year, mostly because, the pandemic and realizing that if I got it, have smoker filled lungs, like this probably wouldn't end well if I got COVID. So there's been the part of my brain that's been fighting with the addict part that's saying you should quit. And the addict's going like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why don't you just get through the pandemic and then you can quit?
When they start using the words comorbid around my smoking, I got to ask some questions. Yeah.
And now we're getting towards the end of the pandemic. The rational part of my brain again is saying like, all right, you just barely got through this one. Let's quit the smoking. Let's move on with our lives. And now the government's trying to take it away from me. I feel like fucking January 6th person here. Government's trying to take it away from me. I'm
glad you made that connection. Go ahead.
Government's trying to take it away from me. And I kind of want to dig my heels in even more. Like, I kind of want, like, there's a part of me that thinks, like, it's not going to happen, like, tomorrow. They're not going to ban menthol cigarettes tomorrow. It's, like, a year to more process of them banning. But I think the likelihood, just knowing my own brain, that I would quit in the next year, if they didn't do this, would be much higher than if they did. Because I will go kicking and screaming across that line because that is the addiction inside of my brain talking. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be the person kicking and screaming and going across the line, but I know that I will be. And furthermore, there will probably be a little period of time where I will, like, examine the possibility of driving down to Mexico and buying a couple cartons and putting them in the freezer like an old grandmother would.
So, to review, and I want to preface this by saying, Cory.
Or just find where they're going to black market sell these and get involved on, like, the ground, like, maybe an Indian casino. I can go and
get a connect.
Yeah.
Start selling them on the street.
Because, I mean, like, everything's, like...
No, they can't tell the Indian casinos not to sell cigarettes.
Right.
As long as they're available, they can get them. So
yeah.
That they can't sell crack.
Well, yeah, but that's...
But they can sell cigarettes.
Yeah. But can they sell the menthol cigarette? Because I'll go to fucking San Manuel to buy my cigarette.
If they can get them imported, then they can get them. I mean, you can get peyote. You can't.
Yeah.
I theoretically could at the right Indian reservation. Because, I'm 1/32 Cherokee or whatever. So I'd have to go to the right reservation. But members of the tribe can use peyote. But no, if it's legal, they can sell it. So as long as they're not making crack or meth, they can sell it. But I want to preface this by saying, Cory at OTheAnthem.com, you are making the argument that you would quit in the next year. But now that they have said they're going to make it illegal, you're going to dig your heels in and continue smoking to the bitter end until they force you to go cold turkey or to buy them on the street like crack.
Yeah.
It's Cory at OTheAnthem.com. At LegendCB5 on all your social media.
And listen, I know all you non-smoking people are saying, like, just fucking quit, just do it. Like, I get it.
I'm not a non-smoker.
I know. I'm saying,
quit.
Like, no, but I'm saying, like, all the people. Here's the thing about this particular issue. Nobody gives a fuck about smokers.
Right.
There's less smokers than there ever have been before. That should be a win already.
Yeah.
It's like the people who talked about the seatbelt signs. Like, I don't think you're going to get anybody who you haven't gotten already to wear their seatbelt.
No.
They're in or they're not.
I make fun of you, but when I see that seatbelt sign, I'm like, oh, that's right, and I take the seatbelt off. Except for in your car where it dings for the passenger because nanny state. But anyway,
right.
Yes.
I just can't. I can't believe this issue. Like, think about, like, if they said, they're going to ban
vape flavors. Yes, I was there.
Or beyond that, like, it touches something that people actually care about, like the seltzer drinks or something like that, like the
don't come for my Four Loko. Oh, I'm sorry, you meant Truly.
Trulies and stuff like that. Like, that's a huge market that's booming. I bet you a lot of kids want those.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Like, because it's easy. It's such an easy drink to have when you're 16 years old. But government isn't coming down on the drinks that are appeasing themselves to teenagers and younger kids because the alcohol industry is big business, and you can't take. We saw what happened the last time you tried to take rid of it, and we had to.
Didn't work out well.
Yeah, it didn't work out well.
P.S.
I mean, like if it's all about health, why aren't we repealing the 21st Amendment? That's basically my point. We should ban everything that is bad for everybody, and also not particularly focus our attention on the community that, if they violate the law, is most likely to get shot by the police.
Yes.
I think that is a column B to this whole thing. But I mean, like in column A should be like, all right, so we're going to ban cigarettes. We're going to ban menthol because that's the first thing we can do. And then we're going to ban cigarettes. And then we're going to ban pipes. And we're going to ban cigars and everything else. Then we're going to ban what next? Sugar? Are we going to ban alcohol? Are we going to ban fatty acids? Like what?
Well,
what
never ban
what
alcohol.
things? What things that can kill people on a regular basis are we not banning? Because I just don't understand. You know, like where we're going with this. Like,
so I'm of two minds of this. Number one, on a personal level, you should absolutely quit smoking. Take up vaping. As unhealthy as it may or may not be, I can tell you it's healthier than smoking. So there's that.
I mean, anecdotally, it's healthier than smoking. I mean, I don't know if we necessarily know. I mean,
there
like
are 171
I also know
carcinogen-proving things in cigarettes that do not exist.
Everyone who's listening to me right now has to understand too that I understand how dumb I sound. Like I hope you do. Yeah, I'm a smart person. I'm well read, and I understand that my addiction is taking over a part of my brain that allows for logical thought.
Yeah,
and I say stupid things like this in regards to that addiction, but I don't see how. I don't know what the worst possible thing that comes from a lifetime of vaping is. It could be nothing. It could be similar to what cigarettes are. It could be way worse.
Hey,
and like
I will be part of a.
I will
very
find out.
huge
I will find out when they eventually take the menthol away, because I will probably have to get a vape for getting me through between the times where I can see my guy about some menthols.
If only a friend had bought you a vape already that you could use. But no, sidebar slightly.
Yeah.
I saw that Truly this week, or maybe last week, Truly announced that they're going to do an 8% alcohol by volume because 4% just not enough for people. And I realized we are coming upon the generation that didn't know what Four Loko was. And we're just slowly creeping our way towards Four Loko. So that's fine. Also, if we're going to ban it, I agree. Don't allow anything fruit flavored or soda to be served with alcohol. Make people drink their liquor straight up. Yeah, because right now you can buy the pre-mixed drinks, which, by the way, that's not what a Jack and Coke tastes like. That is Jack and Coke with some sugar added in, and tell me that's not for teenagers. Yeah. Because I drank one of those, and I was like, this is disgusting. I'm just going to make a Jack and Coke, and I'll pour it out and pour it into this bottle, and then screw the top on, which is the only benefit, that it recloses. So who is it truly for in a can?
It's lucky that bartenders have convinced a lot of people that there's witchcraft in what they do, and that you can make a margarita at home. Like, well, it's only good when I get it out. Like,
Buzzballs, try Buzzballs, because I had the margarita flavor, just to taste it. Because again, we drink at my office because startup, I guess, and I was just like, I have not had a drink to drink in over a year. But my boss, because, again, startup, was like, you have to taste this. Like, it came out of a package, and it tastes like the best margarita I've ever had. So I had a taste, and legitimately margarita. So, yes, the bartenders have convinced us there's some magic in what they do, and they've captured that magic in this $12
I'm not saying
ball.
I don't want bartenders to get upset at me, especially at this point where we're just about to be opening up again, too. I acknowledge the great service that you do for the community, but at the same time, you're slinging death. I mean, if menthol is killing people at far higher rates than any other thing in this world, then clearly everything that kills more than menthol cigarettes should be banned as well. And I don't know if you've seen what happens with people who
alcohol.
Drink all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even have to be you're a fucking drunk who, like, lays out in the street every night. Yeah. Like, people who just drink 2 or 3 drinks a night are setting themselves up for major health problems later on.
Do we know anybody like that who has 2 or 3 glasses of wine a night?
I could scourge my my notes and find out.
Anyway, I'm glad you are taking this stand because, over the course of the pandemic, I'm sure you've gotten used to the taste of spit in your drinks. And now you're going to be able to... There's something weird about this. I don't know what the taste is. Oh. There we go. That's the taste I'm used to. Okay, great. Probably from the person who drinks 2 to 3 glasses of wine a night.
I will say this, though. Rob, for many years on this podcast was... talking about how voting is for suckers, and I was just like, how could you say that? It's part of the process. And you know what? I think I'm done.
Converts one day at a time. That's how we take it.
Because here's the thing. I can't vote for a Republican because look at them all.
That's a good stand to take. I'll accept that stand, yes.
And now, what Democrat can I vote for if they're willing to allow things like this to happen? Like, just in your mind, think about something that makes you happy. It could be baseball game. It could be going to the movies. It could be sipping lemonade on the porch. Like whatever that thing is in your life.
I'm drawing a blank.
That you enjoy. And then just somebody decided that it's no longer legal and you can't do it anymore. It's better if you think about something specific that not a lot of other people like. Mm-hmm. Like I like going out to this particular bluff and looking upon the canyons below or something like that. It's like, no, banned. Not allowed to go to that bluff anymore. You're the only person who's really impacted by this decision, but you're going to be so angry because you're going to be like, why? Why did they take away that bluff from me? It feels personal.
Well,
like
I enjoy murder and cannibalism, but that was illegal a long time ago. And now welcome to the club, Cory. That's, well, you have to join us.
I don't like where this is going. All I wanted to do was not quit smoking, and now I'm a cannibal all of a sudden.
You've thrown in with some very dangerous people. Now, I will say, personal level aside, this is the kind of shit that I fucking hate. The nanny state bullshit of like, seatbelt laws are a great example. Now, seatbelt laws are a bit of even further because with this, you could argue secondhand smoke, although wherever anymore.
Mean, the biggest problem is that people who are trying to ban cigarettes, and listen, I understand why there's people who want to ban cigarettes. There's been people, they've been experienced to people in their life who smoked and died of lung cancer, and they don't want this to happen to other people.
Those people who are force-fed cigarettes, they were forced to smoke a pack a day their entire lives.
I understand why they take up the choices that they do in trying to ban cigarettes and tobacco and everything that relates to it. But the problem is that you're not. You're just not. That's not the way to do it. Like I would love if I could understand how somebody feels like taking something away makes the situation better. Like if it's opioids, like we could have taken them away at any point. And they were like clearly
people are in pain, Cory. We can't take.
I know, but I'm saying clearly you got like there was evidence that what was going on was wrong. A lot of the evidence that's coming from the smoking advocates and the desire to get smoking banned is in bad faith. And that's one of the biggest problems I have.
Are you telling me third-hand smoke's not a thing,
Cory?
No,
third-hand smoke is not a thing. Also, secondhand smoke, while technically a thing, is not a thing either.
So it is a thing if you are working in a casino
right,
and somebody's smoking. It's not a thing if I smoke and come to your house and you're exposed to my shirt. That's not a
the amount of people who die from secondhand smoke is probably about the same as the amount of people who die from like fucking vending machines falling on them and stuff like that. It's a
where
minuscule,
can you smoke around people anymore?
And it's a minuscule number. And the people who die of secondhand smoke, the people who find health problems from secondhand smoke are people who have a pre-existing condition and are around people who smoke and don't care about their condition.
Yeah.
So if I had a son who had asthma and I decided that fuck him, I'm going to smoke in the car with him, I'm going to smoke inside the house with him.
When you have a son who has asthma, fuck him. Yes, absolutely.
That would be a type of person who could conceivably get some of the secondhand smoke hurting them in some sort of way. The most famous one is there was a cocktail waitress in Vegas who got MGM to ban smoking in the sports book.
Yep.
Because for 40 years she worked in the sports book, bringing drinks to people who were sitting there for 15 hours straight and smoking, betting on every single game from sun up to sundown.
Yeah.
And she did develop cancer from the secondhand smoke. But she was in the smokiest place you could possibly be for a long time. Like, she had at that point the same amount of smoke entering her on a regular basis as somebody who smokes.
Might as well have been a smoker.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I understand that it's bad for you. I understand that we don't want people to do it. And I understand that people who are advocates for anti-smoking are going to do everything they can to get people to quit. Not the way. This is not the way. It's just it's hurting the cause at the end of it.
And one thing you mentioned earlier is not inherent. It is written in, but it's not actually said in anything. And that is the back end of this is more black people smoke menthols than don't smoke. Of black smokers, more of them smoke menthols.
Yeah.
So we want to address this in the black community, so we're going to ban menthols. But the Democrats have found the perfect position where even their own people, even the other Democrats, won't stand up and be like, yeah, but we can't say that part. I'm sorry. Democrats are just good about not saying the quiet part out loud. Because if this was a Republican measure, there'd be people being like, but black people smoke menthols.
Yeah,
we're trying to help you.
There's no way this goes the other way, and it isn't an issue.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But because Democrats don't want to stand up.
Also, it's not popular to advocate for the rights of smokers because, again, there's so few of us nowadays. It's like, what you really gonna die on the Hill if you're a senator for 20%, maybe at most, of the people in your state who smoke on some sort of regular basis?
Now, you might make the argument. Somebody from North Carolina, would want to make that argument,
possibly.
But another vice that somebody who isn't Cory might have. R.J. Reynolds, the largest tobacco manufacturer in the world, but also in the United States, is now in the business of, through subsidiaries, pre-rolled, pre-packaged marijuana. Yeah. So something I think I advocated for in the very first year of the show. Like, if we tell tobacco companies to figure out how to make marijuana in your packages, we'll legalize the thing tomorrow. And funny that menthol is becoming illegal. FDA is going to take marijuana off the Schedule 1 list, and R.J. Reynolds making joints, essentially, all in the same year. Very strange that all that's working out. But you can buy R.J. Reynolds products that are THC with no THC, no nicotine, just CBD, up to different levels of THC and tobacco mixed together, or pure THC joints, essentially. And so that's essentially the government saying, we're going to take away the cigarettes, but we gave you weed. So,
we gave you weed at almost as high a taxes as cigarettes. I don't see why you're so upset with us.
And also the profitability is sky high because
because that's acceptable.
Plants.
No, well, I mean it's cool now. Like,
But a tobacco plant, you get one round a season.
It's like an ex of yours once said to me, like, Cory, calm the fuck down. Literally everyone does it.
I can only imagine what ex that was, and it always makes me worried when you start quoting my exes for many, many reasons. But listen, we're trading a product that the crop grows one a year. It takes us all year to grow a tobacco crop.
Yeah.
For one that will get 6 to 7 to 8 crops a year, this is a more profitable plant, and the growth is way higher. Just
fuck all the people who are in prison for marijuana.
That's
offenses.
Another issue, boy. Nobody cares about. They're black people. We don't say the quiet part out loud.
We'll ban their cigarettes. We'll throw them in jail.
This sounds like a plan.
We'll arrest them for pot, and then we'll allow white people to sell it legally.
The biggest part of this is whenever we try to get the nanny state, the 21st or the 18th theoretically is the one we should look to, because when you prohibit something, it just drives it to the black market. It will not make it less likely for you to be able to buy menthol cigarettes. The place where you buy them will get scarier and more shady.
The cost will become more expensive.
And you'll not know what you're going to get. You're going to get a cigarette.
Yeah.
What is it? Menthol.
I hope.
All right. I hope so. I hope I don't get home and it's full of oregano. And also another reason for higher policing of the black community. Again, we're going to say the quiet part out loud. Black people black smokers smoke menthol cigarettes at a higher rate than white smokers smoke menthol cigarettes.
Yeah.
So now cop sees a guy smoking. Yet another reason to come up and start an interaction with him about like, is that a menthol cigarette? You know those are illegal.
Yeah, they're trying to play like, a big part of the process of banning is we're going to work with the law enforcement community to make sure that no individuals are targeted for their smoking of menthol cigarettes, but rather the companies that make them, the people who ship them in, that sort of thing. But when in the history of the world has the company or the shipper ever been held responsible for this kind of shit? Like
the 18th Amendment, who got busted? Honestly, the vast majority of places that got busted were not speakeasies on the or parties on the Upper West Side. It was jazz clubs, speakeasies in Harlem. That's where they went and busted people, because it's just another reason for the war on crime to be directed at certain people in certain places where we want it to go.
Well, because clearly all the crime comes from one place. That's the logic behind the war on the war on drugs, the war on gangs, the war on anything. It's all about clearly there's somebody who's not holding up their end of the social bargain. Like,
it's not as if a black man wasn't killed over a cigarette in the last, 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So, here we are. But the most important part is you've made this white man angry, and that is going to be your death knell. The guy who went out and voted in like the 9 different elections that LA had the first year we moved here.
Oh yeah, they had a lot of elections, and where is there a home for me? Like, what we need is a legitimate libertarian party to join in the fray and get good at what they're doing real quick. Like,
I was gonna say, if Gary
the
Johnson,
problem is all the fucking libertarians are awful.
Gary Johnson starts to grow like a little mustache, he might get real appealing to a lot of people in this country. Not you necessarily.
Yeah, I wouldn't join in with that, but
we'll see what he has to say. He's talking about bringing the economy back. I'm down for that.
I think a lot of people would trade in their red hats for red armbands. I just
all I'm saying is, he comes out with a little mustache. Cory's like, this guy is crazy. And Gary Johnson's like, weed and menthols for everybody. And Cory's like, this guy's got some good ideas. Let's just listen to him, all right? Let's hear what he has to say.
I'm not saying I'm not going to vote for it.
I'm not saying I will. I'm also not saying I'm not. I'm saying let's hear what he has to say.
The privacy of the voting booth is an important constitutional right.
Gary Johnson, landslide victory. I didn't vote for him. I don't know who did. Says 99% of the American public. Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so in other disappointing but not surprising news for this week, you may have heard today that over the weekend, the Colonial Pipeline, a pipeline that runs from the Deep South to the East Coast corridor, was the victim of a ransomware attack. And we brought up ransomware a few years ago. I think it was actually last year, because it was at the start of the pandemic when Baltimore was the victim of a ransomware attack.
Yep.
This is very similar. Someone had took over and basically locked out everybody from the Colonial Pipeline system, and basically not shut down the pipeline, but basically said all gates closed, which means the oil sits where it is. And it's not going, I'm sorry, the energy stops where it is and doesn't move any further. And so this is a bad thing, obviously, for gas prices on the East Coast, which may, Cory, reach as high as $3 a gallon at the
my
pump.
God. Tiniest violin.
I don't know how.
From the West Coast.
Some of my favorite replies today were just people who were clearly from the West Coast replying to people who were clearly from the East Coast on tweets like, I paid $4.26 for a gallon of gas today. Like, welcome to our horror. But by the way, the reason it's cheaper on the East Coast is this pipeline, because it's easy to get oil from Texas, Louisiana, up to the East Coast. We don't have a similar infrastructure moving west, mainly because there's a lot of beautiful things there that we don't want to ruin with a oil pipeline leak. And what they have on the East Coast is Georgia and really Alabama.
Yeah.
If Alabama was covered in a slick of oil, might be an improvement. I'm just saying.
Would we notice?
I certainly wouldn't. And
it would make Talladega more interesting.
If there was an oil spill in Alabama, it would make my entire march from Dallas to the sea.
Oh, just one good push.
And light the fire behind us, boys. Let's just we'll race the fire to the ocean. Let's go. So I would like to thank the dark side, the Russian hacker group, who is taking the claim for this, for making the neo-Jayhawkers movement of burning the South just from Dallas all the way to the ocean a reality. Open those pipelines, boys. Just open them up and spill that oil everywhere. But yeah, the bigger issue here is that once again, we are learning our infrastructure is, I was going to say not as secure as we thought, but not secure whatsoever. And what is the answer? Because the answer, if you're Colonial, was we don't need more regulation from the government. As we're locked out of our system from a ransomware attack, we don't need any oversight asking whether or not we have cybersecurity. So,
I mean, I think rationalizing with people of the cost of doing business is securing your web presence as well. If you're going to be connected to the internet somehow at your work, which is, I think, all of them at this point.
Yeah.
There is not an excuse for you not to have some form of security. Now, I'm sure that they do have some form of security, and they thought they were pretty good.
The password was password with an exclamation point.
All it takes is one person's computer that is connected to something important to not be as secure as you think it is to throw the whole thing in disarray. If you remember, we talked about Equifax a couple years back when they got hacked.
Yes, the company that we don't sign up for, but yet has all our information.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And it got hacked because there was a computer in a Brazilian Equifax office or something like that, where the password to get in was Equifax1, and that was what allowed the hackers in to run rampant all throughout the thing. It's just it's something that needs to be taken more seriously. And you don't, the worst part is you don't know it's going to happen to you until after it's too late. Like if you are going to become the victim of a ransomware attack, the time to do it was right before you were the victim of the hack. Like, and listen, it's not saying that everyone is safe here, because Microsoft was involved in a ransomware attack as well. So they're not immune.
Nope.
But, it's not like all of Microsoft was in control of the like little segments of their business.
And they've segmented out enough that it was like, okay, so they got access to this department, but then we segmented it off from there, and the firewall kept the rest of the company safe.
Yeah.
What we've learned is that some dude with a laptop whose password was likely password1 ! Had access to the entire of the Colonial pipeline system. Yeah. And gave them access as well.
Right.
So that's cybersecurity. But the other problem is you probably have like a 50-year-old dude from Texas who learned computers late in life who has access to the network.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do?
Also, if you know the person, if I know that Rob is in charge of the oil pipeline, and maybe he has a really secure computer at work that has like a really intense password that I'm never going to break. But, he accesses all that stuff on his Chrome browser, and he has all the passwords saved on there, and his password for Gmail is password1! Yep. You're fucked. You're done. Like, that's the problem. Like,
well, and we're dealing
it's not going to take long for you to get your way around that problem.
Black hat hackers really, and that is the two-step version of what they will do. But they will find your wife's maiden name, your anniversary date, your kids' birth dates, and then just like, here is a plethora of information, put it in a database, and then just hard pound on the password, because most people keep the same things. Yeah. And, so you did a live stream or a Zoom call that was unsecured from your desk. Let's check the reflections of anything in the room and see if you have a Post-it on your computer with the password on it. Like
it's like I was watching the NFL draft, and somebody, I can't remember which team, like took their pick, probably Washington.
The football squad there in Washington?
The professional, the Landover professional Washingtons. And like they took their pick and they were celebrating, and the whole draft board was like right behind them, and I'm just like, you idiots. You morons. Like, everyone knows now. Like, all you have to do is like pause and like enhance, and you're good. Like,
well, luckily, the video technology hasn't come that far, Cory. It'll take them hours to break down that footage.
It's just the 4K footage. You can't possibly break through.
Yeah. So I think the bigger thing that people should be worried about is oil is going to go up in like 3 weeks or something. It's also going to be a thing where like deniability. Gas isn't going to go up for like a week and people will be like, it's fine. And then 3 weeks from now, they'll blame something else like the gays
Cicadas.
are getting married. The gays are getting married. That's why gas went up. God hates us. But these same problems impact nuclear power facilities, hospitals, everything you think is water treatment facilities, everything you think is key to life is accessible by people who want to get access to it and do bad things. So, and somebody like Cory's dad or my dad is in charge of one of those departments with a computer, and the password is password ABCD exclamation point. Which I'm sure is on the list of the hackers. Like, all right, here's the 500 we try first. Then we go into the dates. But just try password. See if that works. And then password exclamation point. And then password 1 exclamation point.
Yeah.
Do they need a number or not? That's
Try the name of the company too. Just like
yes. And then with a 1 with an exclamation point. Let's see what we have to do. By the way, Google will give you a secure if you put any symbol in at all. So just that's a heads up to Dark Side. Also, Dark Side. Sally Mae. Have we given any thought?
Where are we?
To that? Because I get it's fun. You break into the oil, like, oh, we froze the oil. How pissed off would everybody be if you just deleted all the debt records of all the people with student loans, starting with the letter C, last names? Anywhere from C to CI is really where you want to focus on. Actually, just CE to CI is the money spot.
I mean, just do the C's. Just do.
I don't know how many C's there are. I don't want to stress people out with having too much work to do. CE to CI is really where I think the money of the heart of the debt is, mainly because I hold 90% of the nation's student loan debt personally right now, including the interest, which is substantial. But I guess speaking of more things that are disappointing and not surprising, well, not this part. It is Ramadan. So for those of you who may not know, this is the holy month for Muslims in the world, and they celebrate this month by fasting. I don't think it's like 28 days, right? Because it's a lunar month. So from sunup to sundown, you fast, and then you go to a service, and then you can eat for a few hours before you go to sleep, and then repeat the next day. And it is the high holy holidays, the Easter for Muslims, and the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is in East Jerusalem, is one of the most holy places in Islam. For those who may not know the history, Jesus, the third most important person in Islam, second to Muhammad and to Allah, who is God.
Yeah.
So the second most important prophet, the second most quoted person in the Quran, rose from earth to heaven, Isa, on this mount. And they built a mosque there, and it's the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And the Israelis decided to celebrate Ramadan by waiting until a group of Palestinians had fasted for, 15 hours and then gone to a service. And then when they came out, massacre them in bulk. So that's happening. And if you were to turn on CNN or Fox News or MSNBC, you're going to see exactly 0 news stories about that. And I think you aptly put, why is it that you're not going to see any stories about that?
I mean, because nobody wants to be criticizing Israel.
Yeah.
Don't
defend smokers. Don't defend white guy, or actually, do defend
fuck smokers. Fuck smokers intentionally.
Smokers cannot be defended, and Israel can't be chastised.
Yeah.
Because we spend $3.8 billion a year giving them money for arms, which those arms they then use to murder Palestinians. There was also 2 settlements that had been planned and then basically paused, which apparently are now off pause because they wait till people, again, are fasting for 15 hours and then going to a service to boot them out of their homes so that they can build a settlement there instead. So, not ever one to shy away from controversy. Here I am. Fuck Israel. The prison camp in Jenin, which is essentially a concentration camp modeled after some of the World War II concentration camps, which is probably the reason Israel as a state exists now because of the Holocaust and the concentration camps there, for those people to then put more different people in concentration camps and to essentially treat them as second-class citizens and take away power and take away medicine and take away water. And then when that's not enough, to go outside their church services and herd them together and murder them en masse is disappointing, but not surprising, because this is what fascist regimes do. And the fascist regime that is currently running Israel is the Zionist regime, is fucking terrible and should be replaced. But it won't be, because we give them $3.8 billion.
I mean, I think beyond beyond all the problems is like the never-ending story of the Middle East is that nobody understands it except for people who are really tied into what is going on there.
Yeah.
So, and it being vague and confusing to average everyday people is what makes what allows things like this to happen, because there's not massive attention on it the same way as there is, like, because it's like, I think the average person just thinks like, oh, conflict in the Middle East, what else is new?
Right.
Like, you know, like this is just another set of things that have happened between Israel and Palestine. But I think we have to be close to the point where even the average person can see that one side is clearly beating up on the other a lot more than
using jets and ships and helicopters and the like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm generally more of the why don't we not war with each other?
Yeah.
Part of like my general worldview is I would like it if we didn't war with other nations and stuff like that. Like we didn't need to rise to that level. So obviously I would like whatever will bring as much peace as humanly possible to any region of the world where there is strife. But it doesn't seem like either side is particularly interested in going that route. And that's part of the problem. Like,
I would disagree because I think during the 90s, especially under Arafat, later Arafat, not early Arafat, there was a very big push for a two-state solution and wanting peace. But again, if there was a guy who every time you saw him, he walked up and punched you in the nose, eventually you get tired of getting punched in the nose. And then when you see him, you punch him first, or you cross the street to avoid him, any number of things. But you can't expect, I would not expect you to continually, like, as this guy approaches you every single time, be like, listen, man, I just want to be left in peace. I don't know why you want... No, because he's going to punch you in the nose.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. So, unfortunately, the last time we were close was in the 70s, late 70s, when both of the men who organized the peace treaty were assassinated by the extremists on both sides.
Yeah.
Hottest take, by the way, on this new round of violence in Israel is a conservative who I saw, again, on Twitter, replying something to the effect of, well, they should be more Western and civilized like Christians who haven't murdered each other for hundreds of years, forgetting that earlier this past 365, Cory and I were talking about how the failure of the EU and Brexit could actually violate the Good Friday Accords, which would essentially cause a renewed violence in Northern Ireland, famously between the Jews and the Muslims of North Ireland.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, that's the Protestants and the Catholics there. Yes. So.
Also, may I show you something in the Crusades, perhaps? Like, there's
I mean, the Crusades were hundreds of years ago. I'm looking more at something in the postmodern era, like Northern Ireland, Christian, which was, by the way, in our lifetime, 1994 was the Good Friday Accords.
Yeah.
I was 10 years old. I remember Lockerbie, Scotland bombing. I remember these things are actually like in the most recent history. Not even including, by the way, that in America now, there are extremist Christians who regularly espouse violence against non-extremist Christians. Like, you are letting gay bishops have gay marriages in your church? That's a bombing. Yeah, that's bombing. That's what we do to that kind of stuff. Like, we don't call it religious violence, but, oh, no, Christians are bombing Christians. That's not religious. kind of is. The KKK is religious violence. When KKK bombs a black church, how is that not one extremist sect of Christianity against another who says, yes, race is involved, but also you don't worship the same God I do. Stop claiming that. Despite the fact that, by the way, Allah is just the Arabic word for God.
Yeah.
Translated directly, like Yahweh. The direct translation into Hebrew for the word God. We're all worshiping this. Well, you all are all worshiping the same mental illness of a man in the sky who controls your life somehow. I, being enlightened, do not.
Well, good for you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Speaking of crazy Christians.
Speaking of crazy people who are taking a stand. The Republican Party has decided they've had enough of Liz Cheney. So this is about it. We talked about it last week. GOP eating their own. But it's still fucking incomprehensible to me how A, short-sighted, and B, stupid it is that the GOP is choosing to handle their entire situation this way.
Yeah.
Because
wait, when you say that to handle the situation, you mean like handling a really terrible breakup where you stop calling, you stop going to see them, and then you say, they're going to get the clue. They're going to get a clue eventually that this is over. And you're waiting for them to be like, so are we breaking up? Is that, well, I mean, if you want to break up, I guess that's what we're going to be doing.
What? Not that Liz Cheney was the answer, but like, is there a Republican right now that you can say like, oh, we might disagree a little bit on the issues, but I like him. He seems to have it all figured out.
John McCain.
It's been a little bit quiet recently.
Yeah, but. Unfortunately, not active in politics anymore.
Yeah.
Although I was going to make a joke about the new senator from Arizona, but her name escapes me.
Cinema? Kristen Cinema?
Yeah, Kristen Cinema is channeling John McCain with it. Only on the worst.
The exaggerated
things.
thumbs down.
Worst fucking things ever.
Oh,
but is there a Republican
for me?
Yeah.
No, I literally. I mean, Hogan. I guess I like, but Hogan is like. I was telling my dad like Newsom.
Yeah.
It's kind of like O'Malley.
Yeah.
Like in the way that like he's got good ideas and he has a framework for how he wants to do it, but he's the fucking worst messenger of his own information there is. Like Gavin Newsom thinks he's the star of the show. Gavin Newsom should be in a back room somewhere and have somebody else be the star of the show. Because like he put together a decent enough infrastructure here in California to do what he wants as far as political being is concerned. That helps when you have literally all Democrats in the House and the Senate here in California. But it's just like he's incapable. You know, Hogan is not like capable of like X's and O's as well, but he's a great messenger of his own desires. And you know, I can agree with Larry Hogan on a lot of things, and he is a much more moderate Republican than the rest of them, and it clearly shows.
Your guy from Ohio,
Kasich.
See, but he's not in politics anymore either. He's out. So
no, and Kasich is cowardly too. Kasich will go to the line and then just be like, "Ooh, I don't know if I want to wade into this water," and then back away and just not be involved because he's not a governor anymore. He doesn't have to like.
No dog in this fight.
He doesn't have to go after every single issue.
Yeah.
Hogan, you know, at some point is going to get asked a question. So like, you know, there's a point where he has to respond to things.
But who else do you have? Like governor of Florida? Ron DeSantis?
No. I don't.
Texas governor?
Abbott? No. I mean, and the worst part is that like all these Republicans are trying to kick out people like Liz Cheney. Meanwhile, in Texas, which is for sure under siege by like the MAGA movement.
Yeah.
Abbott can't please anybody. Like he had the mask mandate for a little while because of, you know, the rising COVID cases.
Yeah.
And the far right, the MAGA people in his party were fucking furious that he would even do that. The middle of the road Cheney type Republicans were like, you should be doing a little bit more, and the Democrats are you should be doing a lot more. Nobody was happy with how he was handling things. So like I don't see why like he would be the answer either. Like he
no, and he's got the problem
he's
now.
trying to find the port in the storm that'll take him right now, and
he's got the problem that Gavin Newsom doesn't have, which is a rising number of the opponent party. Every single election, they're gaining seats in the state house and
I mean, like
election.
they just had a couple elections in Texas where it didn't look good for the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a deep bench. This is I really do think Texas may be in play at some point. There were a lot of people who were wondering whether or not Biden would actually be able to pick it off during the election.
Right.
But the bench in Texas is not deep enough. That's the end of the problem.
Gotta watch that Boy State doc. Yeah. That's when those guys get up there, that's going to be the ones.
Beto's a very good politician, and I think he could be governor. I mean, the fact that he gave Ted Cruz a run as much as he did should be enough to show that under the right circumstances he could win. But who else other than Beto is there in Texas that you feel confident about doing anything? Like that's
I saw that Boy State doc, and I got the inkling that there are more, especially
Beto
more
now
centrist.
is what Stacey Abrams was 4 years before she decided to run for governor. There wasn't a bench in Georgia of Democrats. She helped build it up. She lost against Kemp for the governor's race, and then lost.
She didn't become governor.
Air quote lost against Brian Kemp, and she spent the next 4 years building up the infrastructure, and now Georgia is in play.
Yeah,
Georgia will probably go back and forth a couple times in the next couple elections, but it's way closer now than it ever was at any point in our lifetime. Really.
Yeah, I don't see that in Texas though, because it's a lot of guys who are really what's his name, Julian Castro, also had the opportunity there to build a bench, and
the Castros could be interesting possible candidates, but I mean, there's just nobody. They had Austin elections 2 weeks ago or something like that, and the Democrats just got slaughtered in them because there's no Democrat has come out in Texas and done anything to prove to the people of Texas that they can make their lives better. So they're just stuck in their ideology.
They don't have a Stacey Abrams either, who's saying listen, election that I won or lost, it doesn't matter. I'm building an organization in this state. And if Georgia is in play in the next 10 years, it will not be because of whoever is there. It's because Stacey Abrams did the work for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Beto isn't really he's national now. He's not doing the work in Texas. I don't see the Castros doing anything.
He's still out there in Texas. He's still doing the work. But I mean, it's not, to hope that the Orioles have been bad for a couple years.
Yeah.
So we just kind of need a Hall of Famer to just all of a sudden come up. We need a guy who can lead us to because we're not going to win a World Series without a year-over-year all-star, somebody who's really good. We just need a Cal Ripken to just suddenly appear on the team.
I like the idea, except for what if it was a guy who started on third and then went to short and then was an all-star?
Yeah.
Amazing bat.
Yeah.
Didn't go to San Diego at the end of his contract.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't afford him, so that's the overall problem with the Orioles. They can't afford these people.
I mean, you say that, but
I mean, Chris Davis is sitting there.
And I would say Peter Angelo's got a lot of mesothelioma money sitting around. And maybe if you splurge a little bit, you could spend it on the team.
Yeah.
But that's
or Bishotti buys them.
Bishotti, please buy the team. Just a guy who doesn't care about wasting all the money that he has. Just fuck it. Let's win.
Listen, it's only going to cost $3 or $4 billion. What the fuck?
Yeah.
By the way, remember 6 years ago when the Clippers sold to Ballmer and it was $2 billion and the reaction of everyone is $2 billion with the Clippers. How the fuck? And then all of a sudden the new Forbes list came out and I think the Yankees were valued at $5.5 billion or something like that.
Which, by the way, not the sale price. That's a value price.
Yeah.
If you want to buy them, you got to probably give 20%, 25% more than that because you're depriving the people of their money.
Angelo's bought the Orioles for $60 million.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wanted to say it was low tens of millions. So.
It really wasn't that much money. Yeah. Like, I mean, $60 million is a lot of money, but when you consider that 30 years later, the value of the thing is multiple billions of dollars, it's
a good investment.
Good. Yeah, better than Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. Dogecoin. Get it right if you're going to say it. It's Dogecoin. So I wanted to send a sorry of ways, or maybe you should listen to me next time, to a bunch of people, because I said Elon's coming up on SNL on Saturday. If you have Dogecoin, now might be a good time to get out. If you don't have it, don't get in now. And a couple of people from my work said, you're crazy. To the moon is what he said. I'm buying in now. And then they woke up today to find that the value of that coin had dropped. Not precipitously as I would have liked, but it did drop some because Elon made jokes about Dogecoin. And the secret is that Elon actually divested of Dogecoin and started investing in another one, and now that's the one he's pushing. So people are screwed, basically. It's a pump and dump.
It's people don't understand commodity trading. This is part of the problem. Like for eons, the commodities we had to trade upon were gold, silver,
frankincense,
oil, like these types of things. You could bet futures on crops and stuff like that, but that's not like a high investment game. That's just sort of something you do if you are really into fucking investing in shit. Like
seeing you next to the Dogecoin, you actually bear a striking resemblance to the Doge.
Oh well,
from the Dogecoin.
Should I get my real Doge to
Well, see, he doesn't bear any resemblance. That short snout.
Producer Roberto just sleeping on the job.
Producer Brooks.
We've been saying producer Roberto so much that,
to be fair, producer Roberto is probably taking a nap right now too. So, although he doesn't give any stretches like that.
Look at you.
That's
anyway, yeah. The worst part about what we got going on with the crypto markets is that a lot of people, I think, are investing in it thinking that they've figured out the game, and none of them have really figured out what game they're playing. Like,
you guys have absolutely figured out the entire game. Now, I want to let you in on a secret that not many people know. My mom has a box upstairs in the attic. It's got the new NFTs. This is a weird NFT, though. It's a physical form. It's a little, it's an animal. It's got beans inside. This is what you need to invest in.
Magic beans.
To the moon. Beanie Babies 2021. The value's coming back. So if anybody would like to get in early, I am selling those Beanie Babies for as little as $3,000 a piece. Get in now while you can.
You know why I knew this was a bad idea, this whole Dogecoin thing?
Why is that?
Because somebody was asking me when GameStop was happening. What's the next GameStop? What's the thing that's going to rise precipitously? I'm just like, Dogecoin. It's going to jump. And I was just like, I was asked, why do I know this? And I'm like, because the internet can't help itself. I can literally see it like churning itself into this direction. And that's exactly what happened. And since that moment that I spoke, of which I didn't invest any in Dogecoin, I probably should have, of that time when I spoke, it's jumped 100,000%. So like it's.
Well, and I would argue I don't invest in digital currencies. I am very proud to say that my carbon footprint is as near zero as a human beings can get, while still participating in a society. And I would not want to increase that by 100-fold, which is what is required in order to start investing in digital currency, because they are terrible for the environment. Bitcoin, Ethereum, all the coins, terrible for the environment. Yeah. Just the amount of resources it takes to mine the coin, the amount of people doing it. There's a new one, Chia, which if you can get it, it's much better, more friendly for the environment. But
I mean that at the end of the day, I think that's the mining is really the problem. It's
yes.
like that, there's incredible resources being put towards mining for Bitcoin in order to gain some. I mean, the best way to think about it, if you're like a real person, is just like you're buying Bitcoin or you're buying Ethereum or you're buying whatever other crypto you think is interesting, and trying your best to stay on top of it without making it your life, because it's just like the people who used to day trade.
Yeah,
and they had like the fucking 19 computer screens in front of
them.
them. Yeah,
style, like
the NICU's about to open, and like those people will make a little bit of money in their life trading stocks. They'll make enough money that it makes it seem like all the effort was worth it.
Yeah,
but at the end of the day, they're just driving themselves fucking nuts because they're looking for. They get so invested in the idea of they've picked a winner, and then all of a sudden it builds, and then they need to find the right perfect time in which to sell. And you don't want to be the person who, like you could go to a dispensary and buy weed with Bitcoin, right? So let's say hypothetically you go in there and you say, I would like to buy $100 worth of weed with this Bitcoin. And then, they calculate the value of, 0.01 Bitcoin.
Yeah.
However much it is to equal the $100 of Bitcoin or $100 of value. And then you trade it. And then a year from now, that $100 in Bitcoin is worth $100,000. And you're just like, well, that was the most expensive weed I've ever purchased in my life. Like, this is it's one of those investments that is at some point it's either going to take hold or it's going to drop, and I can't tell you which one it's going to happen. I imagine there's going to be a lot of cryptos that just suddenly collapse,
probably,
and that will start getting people nervous, and that will start capping the top end of what you could expect in the more top line cryptos, the Bitcoins, the Ethereum, that sort of thing. It also, don't take your advice from me. I don't know shit. I'm speaking casually as somebody who's aware of how this. I have some crypto.
Sure.
And like it's one of those things that like you'll wake up in the morning, you'll look at it, and it'll be like oh, I have $100, right? And then you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh my God, I have $200. And then you wake up the next morning and it's like, oh, it's down to $50. And you watch it and you're just sort of like, like, when's the best time to sell? when you feel like it. Also realize that you're going to get cap gains on that. So
if you watched it,
don't take out $100,000 in Ethereum thinking you're going to buy that house from Inez.
No.
Because you also going to get taxed 20% on the top. So,
but I mean, if you had watched that and sold and rebought and moved it around, you could have made $500 from that.
Oh yeah,
but it makes your life all about the market.
You feel like you can't walk away from the computer screen for like a second. Like, and that's the. Look at any day trader you've ever known in your entire life. They're either the fittest human being in the history of the planet because they just stand there like fucking on the treadmill, like doing trading.
Oh, the standing desk? Yes. Yeah.
Or like doing sit-ups like in between waiting for things to open up and stuff like that. Or they're just like a fat old slob who just like sits there and the guy from South Park.
The best example I can think of, I'm watching through Below Deck, which is a reality TV about people who work in a mega yacht. And the people who like actually clean it and like are service, right? And there's a guy who comes on there who is apparently a famous day trader who I don't remember, but apparently he was famous back in the day when he was shot. And the entire vacation, which cost him $150,000 for 4 days on this boat, he's working the entire time. Yeah. Now, the very beautiful girl who he would never get if he didn't have that kind of money really enjoyed her vacation, like yoga and swimming and the slide off the side. He is in the like salon on the computer complaining about the Wi-Fi the entire time. I'm like, why? Why make the money if you're not going to enjoy it? What's the point?
Well, because you're worried that the day that you decide to,
I'm going to go away.
I'm going to go to Disney today. I'm going to unplug. Like that's the day where the market crashes and you've lost everything. Yeah.
And I was like, so obviously,
and
what people
if you again like. If you think you can figure out when the moment that things are going to crash is, then best of luck to you, because I mean, like, speculation on the stock market is already kind of volatile.
Yeah.
So like speculating on something that's even more volatile, like crypto, is like a different level of trying to figure out when things are going to turn. But
and by the way, when you figure it out, let's say that you are as smart as the smartest investing computer, and it figured it out in the same moment. You're like, now's the time to trade. All of their Bitcoin, gone already. It's already sold. They've already beat you to the punch. The price is.
You're never going to be able to beat the computer.
No.
Especially because they pay for the extra fast connection to Newark to get the.
But and I will say, like, listen, when you're investing in it, you are investing in a commodity. It's not necessarily the coin itself. But again, I don't invest in the commodity version because I know, much like diamonds kill a lot of people to get them up out of the ground. If people stopped buying diamonds, they would stop mining it out of the ground.
Yeah.
If this wasn't a huge investment where the value is going up, people would stop mining it. And that's why we're going to see the collapse. It's because when the value plummets and somebody says, I have a $40,000 setup here to mine Bitcoin, it's not worth it at this price. What can I make this do other than that? Now we are no longer mining it and using resources either.
I mean, the other thing is you're at the wills of whether or not somebody decides to wake up and ruin the crypto market for you. Because I mean, like, I was China like 4 weeks ago, something like that. Where it's just like, we're going to look into possibly banning cryptocurrencies, and everything just dropped immediately, like overnight. Like, you woke up in the morning, you're just like, where'd all my fucking Bitcoin go? Like, where'd the value go?
Guys,
like,
I just want a currency I can use online to buy cocaine untraceably and have it delivered to my house.
Cocaine.
Is that so much to
quote
ask?
unquote cocaine?
But speaking of China causing things to drop precipitously, big story the past week, scary moment that wasn't scary and most people didn't know about, but some people did. So the Chinese launched their Long March 5B rocket for the second time to put yet another piece of their space station, which is not the International Space Station, but their China-only space station, into orbit. And as it happened the first time, overshot the mark, and the rocket itself achieved orbital velocity, which meant that the rocket was also in orbit. Except for it was in not quite a full orbit. It was in a orbit that was decaying, and it was going to come back to Earth.
Yeah.
And then we were on like rocket watch, and where is it going to fall? The first time
there were a couple hours there where it's just like somewhere in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah.
And I listen, I can have a laugh too. There was a lot of people on Twitter saying that they hoped it hit Mar-a-Lago. Really didn't hope it hit anything, like, personally speaking.
Yeah.
Like, let's not root for this thing hitting people, but
so the first one that also achieved orbital velocity landed in a village in Ivory Coast, and luckily didn't kill anyone, but apparently like flattened an entire village.
Yeah.
And this one landed in the Indian Ocean, so luckily splashed down. And experts were saying, listen, 70% of the planet's water. Of the land that makes up 30% of it, 10% of it is inhabited. So we have a good chance of this just landing somewhere where there is no people.
Yeah, 9 and 10.
Skylab, also a big piece of American space junk that came back down, deorbited over Australia and landed in the outback. But a piece of it broke off and then therefore came in sharper than the rest of it and killed a woman in Australia.
Yeah.
So listen, the rocket starts to deorbit and a piece of it breaks off and you're standing in Mar-a-Lago and it's going to land in the Indian Ocean. But because of the way these things work, traveling many hundreds of miles an hour, you get nailed in the head with a bolt from the rocket and then the rest of it goes into the Indian Ocean. So the story really isn't about this particular rocket. It's one, we have junked up all of our near Earth orbits, and
well, we've finished junking up Earth. We might as well go
up there and do
go
it.
to the orbit.
It's going to be a problem as stuff starts to run into each other, and then orbits always decay unless you add energy to them. So like the space station, in order to correct, every few months will just give a little of air, and it just like keeps it in the right orbit, keeps it moving forward at the right speed. And if you don't do that, like it's an old satellite,
an old cell set.
Yep,
a singular satellite just like
falls out of space. And now we're talking about putting stuff up into suborbit, which is like the Elon Musk wants to make a an apartheid internet network. What's it? Just like suborbital things that give internet to the entire world.
Mm.
That will become a yearly upkeep effort of like, oh, we lost 2 of them, so we got to launch 2 next year to fill in the gaps. But those go places. It's going to fall out of the sky into a place. So these are things we should consider. Also, China has been relatively good at aeronautics and space thus far. They landed a lander on the moon, only the 3rd country to do that. They've landed on other planets, only the 3rd country to do that as well. The thought that they missed the math once on the first rocket, I'll give you. But that they miss it twice on the second rocket seems a little strange. And it just so happens that this piece of the International Space Station, the Chinese space station that they put up, is only slightly heavier than their biggest nuclear weapon. Or no, it's only slightly lighter than their largest nuclear weapon. So by orbiting the rocket, it could be a message to the U.S. that we have a very big nuke. And if we put that nuke on top of this rocket, it would put that nuke into orbit, and the rocket then wouldn't orbit. It would fall back down. But then we would have a nuke, in our biggest nuke, in orbit, ready to rain fire down on the United States, which sounds a lot like the Cold War, because it is the Cold War.
You know what? I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
I'll remember this for later, but I don't know if it's nefarious, because the U.S., who is also one of those 3 nations that have gotten to the moon, gone to another planet, regularly fuck up calculations. So let's just because you're capable of putting something on the moon doesn't mean you're not capable of not carrying the one every once in a while.
To be fair, we fuck up calculations leading to explosions on the launch pad. It's been a long time since we orbited a rocket because we put too much fuel in it. That's the thing. It's either like we got the perfect amount of fuel. Anybody check the gaskets? Do we check the gaskets before we... Oh, nope. Bill, you're the gasket guy. Can we check the gaskets?
Does this thing work in the cold? It should.
Do not watch the that thing about...
the Challenger?
The Challenger.
Yeah.
Because the number of times people were just like... and they're like, go ahead. It's fine. It's good.
It's just a missile you're getting on. It's fine. Don't worry about a thing.
Oh, my God. Anyway, speaking of things that are very worrisome that the U.S. government is doing, Anthony Fauci, who I have been a big fan of throughout this pandemic, is starting to get on my shit list. And let me tell you why. I have a policy when I'm writing emails for work that I write emails assuming that the dumbest person who's going to read this, how will they read it? Now, it may sound like I'm talking down to some people, but there's enough people who I'm worried about not getting the message that I will dumb it down to its most base form.
Yeah.
So as you can see from the infographic here, Dr. Fauci is...
trying to avoid using the term circle around, hoping that they don't stand up from their desk 2 circles.
To circle around, yes. Yeah. We'll circle back to this on Tuesday, and then just leave the office until the next Tuesday. Yeah. But Dr. Anthony Fauci today said that he's having doubts about the mask mandate and that we should be rethinking all the mask mandates. And he's right. Statistically, based on everything that we know, he is making a very sound argument. But the problem is Dr. Fauci is surrounded by scientists and doctors, and he's now in a White House that believes in science. So maybe he's getting a little spoiled because he doesn't have the guy talking about injecting bleach into people. And he's forgotten that you need to dumb everything down and worry about the worst, not the best. Because I know people are going to hear this and be like, oh, I don't have to wear my mask anymore. And then you're going to be like, oh, so you got that second shot. No. You got the first shot and you're just waiting for it. No, I'm not going to put that in my body. They say as they shovel a hot dog in a Mountain Dew. And they're going to say, I don't have to wear my mask because Dr. Fauci said I don't have to wear masks anymore, which is not what he said, but that's what they're going to take from it. And I was a fan of his throughout the pandemic because he was saying stuff that I was like, he doesn't believe that.
Yeah.
But he knows the dumb people will take the truth and use it to their own means. So he says the more reactive thing.
Yeah, I mean, throughout this, I feel like there's been a lot of people aiming for more masks in more places because it's less likely that it will get missed in the the places where it's really needed. Like if you say you have to wear the mask outside, then the likelihood that you're going to be wearing the mask inside as well is higher.
Yes.
I don't necessarily approve of that. It's like when people tell me that the thing starts at 8 or 7:45, and I'm like, that's a weird time. And then I find out that it really starts at 8, and you told me to show up early because I'm late all the time. Like, it's just like, fuck you. Like, this isn't the way to make me do things, as I show up right at 8.
Yes, as you show up on time at 8. This seems a lot like I was going to quit smoking, but now that you're telling me to quit smoking, I'm not going to quit smoking. Argument. Yeah. Hey, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I think that right now, outdoor masks don't make as much sense as they did before, with more people being vaccinated and the transmission outside being very low. But the problem is that people are not going to be able to construe the differences in how dangerous things are. So, like, you know, I said I probably wouldn't walk around downtown LA without a mask on. Well, you know, the last couple days when I've been walking around downtown, there have been times where I've been literally the only person anywhere.
Right.
You know, 1,000 feet away from me was the nearest person. The mask wasn't on at that point, or wasn't pulled up at that point. You know, there's no reason. And, you know, there has certainly been lightening of when I'm wearing a mask, depending on how safe or unsafe I feel about a certain situation. But I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of what's safe and unsafe. I'm not one of the ones that Fauci should be worrying about, I guess is the point.
Yeah, that's the problem, though.
Because it's the people who, like, we talked about the people who showed up at spring break in Miami, and none of them were wearing masks, and they're all, like, fucking crammed together like it's a goddamn concert. Or all the people who are showing up at, you know, ball games in Texas to full capacity with very little masks around. Like, you know, it's not... The good news is that we're getting so many people vaccinated so far, because that's helping things. But the problem is that once we hit this plateau where people stop getting vaccinated,
we passed the plateau. We're on the downside now.
We're still going to, you know, like the chances of something going very wrong are still out there.
Yeah,
and we should be respectful of that. Like we should understand that, like, you know, maybe you're vaccinated and you're going to the Ranger game, but that doesn't mean everyone who's at the Ranger game isn't vaccinated.
Yeah. And
there was an article that was making waves last week. I think it was the Atlantic. I'll find it and put it in the show notes. But the idea is that you know, there's a hesitancy to move on from the people on the left, basically, that they don't want to give up the mask, or they don't want to go out and start living life again because they've gotten comfortable and used to this idea of, like, being safe and stuff like that. I can understand. There's a hesitancy on my part, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, when I go places that are a little bit more than I have been doing, like, there's a, like, is this the right thing to do at the moment kind of feeling? But, you know, at some point we are going to have to get past it. We are going to have to start living life a little bit more again. And people are going to have to get comfortable with it. But I don't think it's a problem for people who decide to wear a mask a little bit longer than, like, I personally have always been of the mind that, like, I'm going to be a full month behind everybody else who's trying to, like, if they told you don't have to wear a mask under any circumstances whatsoever outside in California, I will still be the person wearing the mask for probably another month when I'm around other people, because A, I'd rather be safe than sorry. B, it doesn't harm me in any kind of way, so it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
And three, I don't want to be associated with people who are vehemently anti-mask.
Yes.
Because I know the kind of terror that it can put in somebody's. If you're in an elevator, if you walk into an elevator and you see just one person in there without a mask and they're coughing, and then you're just like, I'll take the next one.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, I don't want to be associated as one of those people. And, you know, fourth, I just think that it's a compassionate thing to do. And I don't think any of those things are wrong. but we will collectively, as people who have been careful, collectively as vaccinations tick up, as you personally get vaccinated, as the people around you get vaccinated, are going to have to start learning to go back out into society a little bit, because there is I think there is an emotional cost to.
I didn't go out in society to begin with. I was living a pandemic life before the pandemic.
Oh, that's fine. You didn't lose out, but I'm saying like a lot of other people, it's going to be weird to go back into, like going to restaurants and going to bars and stuff like that once.
And I encourage that when other people's actions don't threaten my life. Go live your life. Go do whatever you want. I was not that person, and I won't be that person in the future, so that's fine. I've said that masks are likely a part of the rest of my life. I had less sickness. I had less issues altogether the past year. It's not just, I worked in an office throughout this entire pandemic, and we were careful in the office, but also I wore a mask for an entire year when I wasn't in my apartment or sitting at my workstation.
Yeah.
So, or here, basically.
Yeah.
So other than that, like, yes, it tells me I was doing the thing that keeps me healthier and safer, not just from COVID, but from the flu and from colds and from the
allergies
disgustingness of everyone. Yeah, honestly, I think I have had less allergy problems because when I'm outside, I have a mask on. Now, it's not helping me when I'm in my own apartment and the dude's hotboxing my apartment through my air conditioner because he stands right outside my window smoking weed for like 4 hours. That's neither here nor there. But when it's not going to threaten my life, everyone can go feel free to do whatever they want. My request to Dr. Fauci is keep in mind that people hearing that, I came down to the studio on Friday, and on my way here, I saw packed bars. I almost got hit by doors from people hopping out of Ubers for the first time in a year, which was a weird experience because I'd stopped looking out for doors popping open on me. And now I'm like, oh, I got to get back in that mindset. But I know if I had asked any of those people maskless on the curb outside of a bar smoking a cigarette, that they would have said something to the effect of, oh, we don't have to wear masks outside anymore. But wait, are you vaccinated? Is everybody in your circle vaccinated? What's your status? These are not questions that came to mind. They heard no masks outside, bars are open. I'm going to go stand outside of a bar and smoke a cigarette without a mask on. Now, I'll put the mask back on when I go inside because they make me, but I'm not going to wear it outside. None of those subsequent questions came up, and that's my request to Dr. Fauci and people like him is think about the dumb people and act according to the worst of society, not the best.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have to send that message to us. I'll be wearing my mask forever. Now, he needs to send the message to the guy who's like, or the girl I know who is going on vacation because her 4 friends who she's vacationing with are all vaccinated. She's not vaccinated, but they are, so it's totally fine. Also, her roommate turns out not vaccinated either, so, fuck that person's life. That's fine. Yeah, it's just upsetting on many levels. Stop thinking the best of us. You can think the best of me. I have 160 IQ. Stop thinking the best of the dumb people, the ones who are procreating a lot, the ones who are contaminating our gene pool with their disgusting genes and their disgusting dirty hands that they haven't washed after using the bathroom.
I think that Fauci tries to do his best, but like the problem is that like even if he says like he had a comment not too long ago where it was just like, I probably won't get on a plane or go out indoors for another year or so. I wouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of people are just like, fuck you, Fauci. The CDC says it's fine to fly and you don't have to quarantine back. And like, why wouldn't you fly? And blah, blah, blah. Because he's extra cautious. He's super extra cautious because he needs to be.
He's the Fed chairman. Everything he does is analyzed.
Yeah.
Like, wait. He took an electric car to the office today? Everybody, invest in electric cars because he knows something we don't,
Yeah.
Or he just fucking took an electric car.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it's I think Fauci tries to be careful, but again, the dumbest people are going to construe what they want of it.
And speaking of dumb, dirty, disgusting human beings, Pfizer has approved their vaccine or gotten their vaccine approved for 12 to 15-year-olds, the most disgusting, dirty human beings amongst us. And I speak from experience of being a 13-year-old boy and saying, I went swimming today. Why would I need to shower? For an entire summer.
Yeah.
For an entire summer I did that. No, Mom, I don't need to take a bath. I was swimming today. It's fine. Yeah. So, but the important point here is that...
Again, Dr. Fauci, the stupidest people.
But we are... so, moving towards herd immunity, there was a story last week about the U.S. may never hit herd immunity, mainly because of the children, less because of dumb adults who won't get it. But dumb adults who enforce that on their children, maybe that combination. But by getting now everyone 12 and older, essentially, so 12 to 16 was fine. Now, or 12 to 16 is just approved. Now 16 up was already approved. So we're working our way downward. And Pfizer said that they're hoping for 0 to 2.5 by Christmas. But essentially, if a mother got pregnant now, she would be having a child at the end of this year, which means that a newborn likely has an innate immunization, at least
Possibly,
partial,
yeah.
To COVID, because mom's antibodies will be passed to the child.
Yeah.
So, my concern is less about that. I also don't want to give kids more vaccines if they don't need them. But if it turns out they need them, fucking give it to them. We don't have rubella. We didn't have measles. We didn't have rubella. We didn't have whooping cough because we vaccinated against it. And then you fucking hippie-ass millennial mom stop giving your kids a vaccine. And now I got to worry about my nephew's school had a whooping cough breakout. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's 2021. Why are we talking about whooping cough?
Yeah.
Mostly because the parents are like, I don't know what that is. Don't give them that. Bitch, you about to
It's
find out.
not
what
around
that is.
anymore.
You about to find out what that is. All right. Anyway, so it's good news. Good news. More people can get vaccinated. The bad news is parents who were already vaccinated were probably protecting their kids who will now be able to join other people in the world, but we're probably protected anyway. And then Republican kids, let's just say, Republican kids were already drinking Mountain Dew in a diaper at 7 years old on the front porch talking to the neighbors. So they're not going to get the vaccine. They weren't safe before. They're not going to be safe afterward. It doesn't really change anything statistically, but hopefully it gets us closer to the new normal, where we can drink our 2 to 3 glasses of wine at a happy hour rather than our own couch every single night.
But no menthol cigarettes.
No menthol cigarettes at all. How dare you? And no menthol flavored.
Why even bring it up? How?
No menthol flavored vapes either, Cory.
Think of the fucking children. Would
you
you
can have
please?
strawberry, which kids would not like.
Yeah,
should not
clearly.
like, but no menthol. By the way, what kid's taking up smoking now? I get the battle against vapes, because if I was 14 again and somebody was like, here, smoke this disgusting thing that you have to get used to, or this amazing thing that is just tastes like mint, I'd be like, the mint good thing? Like, why would I smoke the other thing anymore? Like you said, it's like seatbelt signs. Who are you getting that you don't already have at this point?
Yeah.
Like, a kid who picks up smoking really just wants to smoke. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
Yeah. Final thing.
Yes.
And this will just be quick because we don't know exactly what this means, but apparently the COVID deaths in America and around the world have been greatly underestimated.
Yes.
So this is not news to anybody who's sort of like looking into things, but like we might be upwards of 900,000 deaths or so that are directly caused by COVID somehow. So all the fear and nonsense that was going on out there, clearly it wasn't enough, because anyone who was reacting to like 400,000 dead and didn't think that, this could have easily have been 500,000,
Yeah.
or had been 1.5 million or anything worse, it's just not paying attention. Like, what the thing I keep thinking about is like back when a year ago, in like March a year ago, where I was saying like, you know what, I have faith in the medical system, I have faith in the pharmaceutical companies to be able to come up with a vaccine, get it out there, we can get back to life, and it'll all be good again. And then a bunch of people just being like, nah, fuck it. Like, we had a vaccine in record time.
Yep.
The entire health community of the world gathered in ways to create these vaccines that are now rolling out globally, assuming you have enough money to pay for it up front, globally, And a bunch of people are just like, it took a fucking year. How did? Oh, it's too soon. It took too little time.
If we had a vaccine,
if it was like a week, I'd get you on the like it's too soon.
Yeah, I don't trust this thing. Like, wait. Again, because I'm a conspiracy theorist.
March 17th, it's like let's all shut down, and then March 27th, they're just like we have the vaccine.
My conspiracy theory mind is like they released that motherfucker. They had the vaccine and they had the
what is this
cure.
Russia?
I got questions, but the number of people who I have gotten into arguments with about listen, if you are on the verge of a heart attack and somebody shoots you, they don't say, well, listen, he was going to have a heart attack though, so we can't really just say, no, the gunshot is what killed him.
Yeah.
And I know there have been places, the U.S. is one of those, but other places as well that have been like, yeah, but the heart attack, so comorbid, two sources of a problem, or you have a heart attack while you're in the hospital with COVID. And they're like, yeah, but technically the heart attack killed him. But the COVID put a strain on his heart, which is what gave him a heart attack. Yeah, he had pre-existing condition, but the heart attack, not COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's like a lot of people who die of like cancer, like long-term cancer will die of the heart attack.
Yeah.
And they'll just write like heart attack caused by cancer.
Yes. Yes.
Caused by cancer is health problems. Like,
yeah.
I think, I don't know. The worst part is that, like, we're a month from now, they'll say, like, we figured it out. It's really 1.2 million people died in America or something like that from COVID. And then a bunch of people will just be like, oh, here they are, just adding numbers up, just trying to make it bigger.
To be fair, that's not what they would say if you had cancer and had a heart attack. They would say complications of cancer.
Yeah.
So the cancer is what gets the blame, even though the heart attack is what actually kills you. So people who have diabetes and have like renal failure, or they may say, it'll mention the renal failure is what ended your life, but it will say diabetic complications, renal failure.
Yeah.
The diabetes is what killed you, because it's not like your kidneys were like, seems like a good day to stop doing any work forever now.
Look at that Tuesday. I gotta go.
No more kidneys for you. Sorry. Or you have lung cancer, and then at some point you get the flu, and the flu kills you. It is cancer complications of cancer, influenza.
Yeah.
So the influenza killed you, but you were susceptible to the influenza because of it. Yeah. So the heart attack may kill you, but you would have complications of novel coronavirus 19. Heart attack.
Yeah.
And what a lot of places have done is like, nope, heart attack. That's what he had. Had a heart attack and died. But COVID doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah.
And we're going to see that the numbers are a lot higher. And you're absolutely right. The same people I'm arguing with now about how like that is a COVID death are going to be like, they're just adding numbers on the top to make it worse than it was supposed to be.
Well, it's like we couldn't hype it. Like the case numbers at any point in time, we're never 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Like, that's the number of people that we know who got a test who tested positive.
Yes.
Like, when things were fucking out of control in LA during the winter, we were constantly saying, this is half the number of people who have COVID at this point. Like,
well, again, when at the very beginning, when I likely had the flu, not COVID, but I was feeling really shitty, I could not get a test.
Yeah.
So if I did have COVID, wouldn't have known, not adding me to the numbers.
Yeah.
Because the doctor's like, you should just stay home and take care of that. Act like you have it, and we'll figure out what it is on the backside. Like, okay, cool. All right, so I'm feeling better. Can I come get a test? We can get you a COVID test. What about the antibody test that'll show whether I had it? Nope, don't qualify for that because you didn't have a COVID diagnosis. Like,
bruh.
Okay. Okay, fair. Sure. American healthcare. Well, if you want more insightful comments like that, you know where they could go, Corey?
OTheAnthem.com. Corey to OTheAnthem.com. O The Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and listener line 443-219-7595.
What's that number again?
443-219-7595. You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/Corey Baker Film, at LegendsCB5 on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Brand new video out now. Oh, wait.
There will be a brand new video out this week. And then, I'm going to tell you what. The next week's video, the one that I will release 1 week from today, will tackle ADHD in film. and how terrible this coronavirus has been on people who have ADHD, and why it precipitates itself into me saying that I'm going to do something, and then going out and shooting a bunch of footage for it, and then realizing I don't have all my footage, and then saying, okay, well, I'll just go out later tonight, get the rest of the footage, and then keep forgetting to do that for a week consecutively, and then go like, oh shit, that video I was going to release. Anyway, that will be coming soon too, because the whole quarantine age of COVID has been like putting a bag over my head, like over the head of my ADHD,
yes,
and just bashing it with a baseball bat, because it's like it's getting fucking ransacked right now.
I feel like you making a video about ADHD is a lot like Leah Remini focusing on the Scientology stuff. It's like, go with what you know. Go with what you know. She knows Scientology. Boy, do you know ADHD. That's something you got to handle on. So look for those videos this week, right? 2 videos,
yeah.
everything?
Well, this week and next week, yeah.
And, well, within 7 days from today.
Yeah. Well, 10 days. I'd like to have them out on Thursday. That's
so
my
Thursday?
goal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to buffer that anymore? So,
No. It's
20 days. 20 days. Let's just say 20.
Sometime in the next calendar month.
Okay. And of course, you can find more of me at Robert and Cheek and all your social networks. RobertandCheek.com for all the stuff that I'm working on. Versions of the book, new versions coming out this year at some point.
Buy your own books.
Yeah, and videos at some point. I don't have ADHD as an excuse. I just don't care. So
just don't eat well and sleep well, and that's what happens.
Yeah, I work 55 hours a week. I got a look from the boss when I left today, which I guess he's just not usually there still at 3 p.m. when or at 3:30 when I take off to come. And I got a look and I was just like, I worked 55 hours last week and I left at this time. So let's just hold. Let's just hold on any of the judgments.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it up to you at some point this week. It's gonna be fine.
Assume I'll be here at 10 o'clock one night.
Which is absolutely fair. There is always a awkward conversation with the cleaning crew where they're like, should we still lock up? Like, usually there's nobody here. So I feel weird locking you in the building. Are you going to be able to get out if we lock up? Like, yes, it'll be fine. Go ahead. I have keys. I'm the person in charge, kind of. It just, the work takes over your life. And also, I mean, I brought it up in a video that I did post at the end of last year, but I created 4,400 minutes of content last year and had 2,200 minutes of watch time. So that means that double that is 8,800 minutes of prep time for 4,400 minutes of content and 2,200 minutes of watch time. So if you guys wanted it, I got a lot of stuff up there that you can watch. I'm not seeing a Sotera Pillow. That's
go check it out.
90% of my view time for the last year. So yeah, it's I give people what they want. And apparently what they want is not more of my content. So
Pillow talk.
Yeah. The only listen, funny man. The only thing we want to see from you is pillow talk. All right, give us more Sotera or nothing. Ugh.
You should just make a video where you just lay the camera next to you, like in the bed, and you just like look into it, and you're just like, "Hey, it's a little bit of pillow talk."
So,
and then just like, "This is comfortable on my face."
I have never claimed I have a voice for radio. I don't even think I have a genuine podcast voice. Let me tell you what I definitely don't have. An ASMR voice. I do not have an ASMR voice. We know people who do have that. I've been trying to encourage her to start an OnlyFans already with that kind of talent and give me 10% for organizing it. But I don't have I have dated women who've gotten the in-person pillow talk and have met me with the shh. So
maybe not so much of the talking with this one.
And I wish they was just like, you're ruining the look with the talk. But really, they're just like, shh, 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 shh. None of it. Just.
Well, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you're listening to the O The Anthem podcast, part of the O The Anthem digital network. For Cory, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye.